very good, whatever it is, afternoon to you. This is Lunch with Kieno. We call it lunch because it's in the afternoon, right? I have to remind myself of that every now and then, and I'm joined by...
What's my name again?
Alexandria Procter.
Alexandria Procter.
And she is the founder of DigsConnect.com. And she's also the only white person on the NYDA.
Pull the handbrake on that. Pull the handbrake. Let's steer the conversation back to DigsConnect.
Let's go to DigsConnect, shall we? We will. And the reason why we have lunch with Kieno is because Kieno's always hungry. And it's a great opportunity for us to actually just order food. It's like so cool.
You know, Uber
and then
Eats
I don't have to pay for it.
Right now, I've got Uber Eats open. Let's expense this.
Alex,
what a
pleasure.
My VC walking past. We can send him the bill, right?
Which VC? You got a couple of them by now, don't you?
Jeez Louise. I mean, do you want alphabetical order or do you want size of check?
Okay, both. Let's see how you do that one.
Oh my gosh. Pleading the fifth.
Absolutely. But Andrea, oh gosh, I just called you Andrea.
I'll be
Alexandria.
Andrea.
What a bloody pleasure. So you've been traveling the world. We'll talk about your story. We'll talk about what you've been up to. But yes, what have you done in the last week? I mean, you're this bloody busy. I have to ask you what the last week was like.
All right, so I came in from Joburg. I hosted a career and digital skills workshop at NYDA. We had a DigsConnect board meeting. We have launched a new feature on DigsConnect. I had my heart almost a little bit broken.
Is it? We know where to find him.
Yes, I give you the name, I give you the address.
Great. I know people who know people. I grew up at Elsie's River.
There we
can find someone for you.
I knew I was speaking to the right man. That's the real reason I'm here.
Oh, there we go.
But then again, discussing these plans, on a public platform maybe isn't the best idea. Plausible deniability.
Listen, as they say in criminal law, you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, we'll move on swiftly. Very, very swiftly on this one. So, okay.
Sharing a cell pulls more, between you and I.
But you're a member of the NYDA, you'll get out of jail.
I mean, I can moonwalk my way.
Let's start with that, actually. Let's be counterintuitive here.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay. Disruptive.
Under Jacob Zuma, the NYDA was just, nobody trusted them. Then, of course, Cyril Ramaphosa came around, a lot more credibility, etc. Ramaphoria and all the rest of it. How the heck did an amazing young white, and I say that for contextual sake, I mean, you're just a great frickin' South African.
How in
the world did you get onto the NYDA? Is it something you sent your CV into, or did you get a phone call at 11 o'clock at night?
It's funny you say that, actually, because that's pretty much exactly what happened. I was sitting at my desk and this is like the second year of COVID. It was November 2021, and it was scary. We're still in lockdown. DigsConnect obviously is a student accommodation business, and university's been shut for 2 years. So my stress levels were they hit the moon in every planet along the way. Let me tell you, I kind of lost control of my limbs at this point. I was so stressed. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sitting at my desk. It's like literally like 10 or 11 p.m. and my phone rings, and it's a blocked number. And I just thought, who is this a rude person calling at 11 p.m.? So I ignored it. Phone rang again. I was ready. I thought it was like, would you like to take out insurance on your car?
Oh, don't we all get those?
Yeah. And so I was getting ready to answer and be like, I've got nothing to give anymore. Stop. And so I answered the phone. I was like, how can I help you? And a voice said, I'm calling from the Office of the Presidency. You've been appointed to the board of the National Development Agency.
So now you're thinking Wackett Simpson is trying to catch me at 11 o'clock at night. What a SH1T.
He found me my weakest points. Offering a lifeline, but it's like, psych. No, I was like, good evening, sir. Let me just say I'm a big fan. It's been a tough couple of years. You look very tired. I hope you're getting some rest. Mental health comes first.
Indeed.
Hashtag self-love.
Absolutely.
And they said, well, look, you are off to Pretoria next week. I had to go through a security screening with the intelligence agency and off to Pretoria for induction.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, actually. Had to learn all sorts of things, go up to speed very fast on public governance of entities, on the policy from NYDA. Obviously, I knew a lot about it beforehand, but no, it was pretty intense. Met the rest of the board members, met the agency. It's a huge agency, so I've been doing a bit of oversight visits to different offices and
Yeah.
Yeah, getting involved. We report to Parliament and
Oh, gosh.
they don't like us at all. So basically, I just get shouted at.
Seriously?
Yeah. You can see it's all recorded, obviously. All parliamentary things are recorded. Yes. You can even see the recording when I had to do sort of a live sitting with the portfolio committee on women, youth and people with disability. And I'm sort of sitting there. And
so that's the portfolio of anything but men, right?
Exactly.
Yes, okay,
no men allowed.
Yes.
Which, funny enough, actually is almost like my company. We're almost a fully female company, completely by accident. But I just ended up hiring a team full of women. It's just, I don't believe in quotas, but it's interesting when women are making the hiring decisions, how we spot excellence.
Yeah, indeed.
But yeah, you can actually see my interview to see, you can judge me, see if I did a shoddy job or not.
Maybe what we should do is link it after the interview so you can go and check it out yourself.
Look, I just want to say it was COVID. I'd gained a couple kgs, okay? I just want to, just as a caveat.
If you gained 10, you'd still be amazing. Don't worry about it.
But the skin wasn't looking too good. I was feeling rough. It was the first time I was taking my sweatpants off in a while. There was a lot happening in the world.
Yeah, I can imagine. That is so cool, though. So you're in there, and we don't go into too much of the NYDA. I mean, you guys obviously batting for the youth and all the rest of it.
And this is Youth Month.
And it's Youth Month, indeed, June the 16th. Of course, it's not just a holiday. By the way, just in case you were wondering, it's not Bride Day.
It's not Bride Day. I actually gave a speech the other day about it at the launch of Youth Month in Soweto, and Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma was there.
Yes.
And I got up. And everyone's talking about the past and the past and the past. And I stood up and I said, it is so important for us to understand where we've come from and to respect that past. But as the youth, the future belongs to us.
Correct.
So let's hold government to account and let's vote out incompetence. And I made some direct eye contact there. Let me tell you, people were not impressed.
But that's the right thing to do. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, I remember being on 702 almost too long ago, actually. And she used to...
What do you mean? You're a spring chicken. Not a day over 18.
Yeah, maybe 80. I think I heard you correctly there.
You, me
absolutely.
both.
I would agree with that.
Founders age and dog years.
And she used to sit with me once a month as Home Affairs Minister. Every single month. And we'd sit for about 40 minutes before the show to discuss what's happening at Home Affairs. And she was a really great minister until we had COVID. And then, in any case, the lemon that I'm drinking with my hot water and my honey actually emanates from Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma.
Well, we're both drinking right now, so we should cheers to her.
Cheers to her. May she never become president. Did I say that? Sorry, no. Okay, moving along swiftly. We don't get you into trouble.
I still have to report to Parliament, so I'm going to have a lot in the next sitting. They're going to bring this up and be account for yourself.
I do not think the portfolio committee chair is so cool that they listen to Twitter Spaces. Let's just say that, okay?
Well, I'm pushing hard for adoption of more social media engagement within the agency. So who knows? I could be putting the nail in my own coffin right now.
No, don't. We will all protest. I'll be with microphones and everything else. We want Alex. We want Alex. Okay, we can get there. Listen, my protesting years.
Procter's a good name to chime. I mean, there's two syllables, so it's like a Procter.
Procter. I love it.
Da.
So for those who don't know you, I mean, we know...
What? Those who don't know me.
Everybody knows you.
Whoa.
But the two of you listening at the moment who's unaware of what Alex is all about. Let's go to Digs Connect, right?
Yes.
So you happened to... I remember the first time I interviewed you, I think it was Cape Talk. Yeah. And you were like, yay, big.
Literally.
And
that's before I gained those COVID kgs.
Don't worry about your COVID kgs, man. There's nothing wrong with COVID kgs.
There we go.
And
more to love.
I get a phone call from a friend of mine, Henny Buertus. Now, Henny Buertus is a kick-ass entrepreneur from Bertha.
Clubs Vegas.
Clubs Vegas.
That's what I call it.
PE. Anyway, so he phones me and says, my neighbor was on your show. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? He says, Alexandria. I was like, you joking? Mm-hmm. I said, Henny, I knew you're cool. I didn't know you're that cool, right? And he was going on about you and the business and whatever. Let's talk about the story behind. First of all, what is Digs Connect for those who have no cooking clue? What is it? And let's talk about the story that led to you to this door that opened and you're doing all the amazing work that you're doing at the moment.
Thank you so much. DigsConnect.com is Africa's largest student accommodation marketplace. We list 1.3 million beds worldwide, started from UCT and now headquartered between London and Cape Town, and all over the show.
Wow.
Hopefully going to be heading to Boston in the next sort of 2 to 3 weeks to focus on our American expansion.
Boston, Massachusetts.
Woo, 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 woo.
My favorite city in the whole of the US. I love Boston.
Been.
It is so
So
cool.
excited.
You're going to go there in summer, though.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's where I'm going now. I mean,
It's going to be, you'll have snow. I mean,
Really? This time of
yeah.
year?
Well, what's it now? Well, we're winter, so actually, no.
midsummer, yeah.
You'll have a great summer
thank God.
if you drive from the city to wherever in Boston you're going to. You'll see people on the weekend sort of kayaking along the river. It reminds me a bit of Cape Town.
I love that.
It's beautiful.
Oh, I love that. It's kind of like, I landed in Joburg 2 weeks ago. And I got to Joburg, and Joburg in the winter, and I just got off the plane, and I was like, this place is exceptional. And I tweeted, I was like,
Joburg.
5 reasons to love South Africa. No, because really, stick with me now. I was like,
Okay,
I
well.
just have faith, have faith.
Oh, well,
and I
moving
tweeted,
along sluggishly, but okay, yes, let's go.
And I tweeted 5 reasons to love South Africa, literally off the plane, just like while
Yeah.
waiting in the queue. 5 reasons to love South Africa. And I just say, first of all, like, I can't overstate how important this weather situation is. I spent a lot of time traveling on Northern Europe lately. I was a month in Amsterdam. And the grayness really starts to pick at your serotonin. And I listed also Woolworths. Let me tell you, Woolworths is, when I walk to Woolworths, I'm home. Spiritually, physically, mentally, they got it right. And a few other things. They weren't like this cliche, like, proudly South African. Everyone's a bit,
Got the
frustrated.
beach and the mountain.
Yeah, it was genuine, like customer service here. Like, customer service is so bad everywhere else in the world, like horrifically so.
Yeah.
It's good in the private sector. I mean, just caveat, in the private sector is really good. The friendliness of South Africans. You can you can go to any place and have a chat and people will laugh and they'll welcome you. You say hi to people on the street in most other countries, they'll look at you like you're mad and then just give you a sort of a cold shoulder, or they're mad.
Yeah.
And that's why they're kind of, speaking to you. But just 5 reasons, and I went semi-viral.
That is brilliant.
I mean, I had a whole 1,000 retweets. I mean, the big leagues now.
You're kidding me. Was that on Twitter?
That was on Twitter.
How many followers do you have on Twitter? You like have a couple of hundred, don't you, by now?
2,600, my friend.
Jeez,
Watch out, come for your job.
You can have it. As long as you take my insanity along with it, you'll be fine.
I got enough of that, literally. Look, I got my straight jacket in the car.
There
What do you mean?
We'll get along pretty fine. So that is... and people talk about South Africa, and we'll get to disconnect in the story.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just
No, it's good. We both have ADHD, so you guys all just have to hang in there.
Our lemon water is helping us there, I think.
It really is,
There
keeping
you
us
go.
on the straight
Thank you,
and narrow.
Susanna.
And I just, I fortunately had the opportunity to travel quite a bit. I mean, my favorite city in the whole wide world is Kiev. Right. I love Kiev.
Very topical.
So I'm not very happy with what's happening.
Of course.
We won't talk to... As a matter of fact, I spoke to a cabinet minister's daughter yesterday. As a matter of fact, 2 cabinet ministers' daughters are doing really well in the tech space.
Yeah.
And I spoke to both of them yesterday, and I spoke to the one's father. And
I have a feeling who it might be, because I think they might be
of
friends
course
of
you
mine.
do.
Yeah.
So I said, and this will be a dead giveaway. I said, when you see your mother, you can tell her I say hi, and we won't ever talk about Ukraine. And she just burst out laughing. She said, yeah, awkward. And the other one, well, the dad's too strict. So I thought, okay, live and not. But this other one made the Forbes 30 under 30.
Yeah, those are 2 very good friends of mine.
You know
Yeah,
they
I know
are,
you
right?
do.
So I was talking to them. But I do love coming back to my country. I love Kiev. I love Boston. It's better flying into Boston and then taking the Amtrak to New York than flying into JFK.
Okay, it's good to know.
Because when you look like Kieno and you arrive in JFK,
The random search.
random search those gloves, and then they also give you
Those gloves. Is that what you're limping on? No, that was too far. That was too far.
far. And they give you the guy with the longest fingers. I'm like, shit, what are you looking for? Anyway.
Look, it's been a quiet year for me. Maybe I should fly to Boston.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my
We
word.
should put a PG rating on this.
Nah, it's cool.
Look, at least we've hit rock bottom, so luckily...
Let's move away from the fingers. Anna.
Who said that?
This is not going to be this is live, and this is how we love it, right? Without fingers. But so let's talk a little bit about your
just
journey.
Steering back fast.
So you've got this global business. I mean, your team's not massive.
Oh, no, we're tiny.
You're very tiny. You do a lot of the growth work, etc.
Yeah, definitely, very hands-on. I think that team size can often be a vanity metric for startups. I think that a high impact, high performing, highly motivated, and highly incentivized crack team that are just brilliant, gets a lot more done than, more people just means more admin. So as a founder, you're spending more time than looking at things like, the maintenance around the team instead of being like focusing what's most important. Obviously, the stage of the company is important,
Indeed,
and the kind of company you're doing. But I think if you're happy with working their skills or competence, I'm really good at growth, and I work really well at that. My co-founder Greg Ramsey-Keel's amazing. He's better at management, so he kind of leads more into that role. But also, he's better at ops. And where the business is right now, we don't actually need a big team. It shouldn't be, it's just about what's best for the business at any one time. If you need a big team, get a big team. But most of the time, you don't need a big team. You don't need these fancy things that people think they need.
Your operational expenditure, man.
Oh my God.
These people are so expensive.
CapEx, push that down. Like we're pitching right now because we're busy in the middle of doing our Series A. And, seed is just all about hype. That's a hype round. It's like, we're amazing. Right. It's almost like a mini pyramid scheme. But
I love that. I won't tell Zach George. You said seed to Series A is a pyramid scheme.
Do you know that came from a very well-known VC who I was speaking to yesterday, who's brilliant in the space, and he's the one who dropped the term. So I had a little chuckle.
I love that though.
I know, and as a VC who said that. But Series A is about your numbers. They're like, okay, cool, you've had this money, and especially Dirks Connect raised quite a well-publicized seed round. It was the biggest seed round in South Africa at the time.
Yeah, and
I think it was the biggest round raised by a female founder.
Yeah.
And so everyone's like, cool, you splash all over the news, your big seed round. What have you done now? Give me the facts. But of course, our seed round was pre-COVID. So now we have to account for some very tricky years, but also again, there's no excuses. I can't stand an excuse. Situations happen. Totally. What did you do about it? And I think if you can have a logical discussion, explain what happened, what your thinking process was, and how you kind of worked around the things in your life. I think anyone can respect that.
I think everybody knows that COVID was around. The biggest companies were taking hits. I mean, if you look at their balance sheets in 2021, a lot of them were limping.
I mean, Bruce Whitfield was crying on radio. Remember that?
He cried.
Yeah, that was hectic.
Bruce can cry.
I mean,
I know him. He's a good friend. I never ever thought he even had tear ducts, but okay.
Look, I'm a big fan. I did it
I love him too.
A while ago.
Yeah.
And after I did an interview, he tweeted, Alex Procter is going places. I screenshotted that. It's on every single pitch deck I send out to this day. Let me tell you. Bruce Whitfield said, and in his book he mentioned me.
I'm looking for his number.
Should we give him a call?
Give him a call. Come, I'll put him on speaker.
On speaker.
No, hold on. Have you got his number on your phone? I don't have it on this one. I mean, but you don't have to read it out. You just show it to me, right? And then what we're going to do is call Bruce Whitfield right now. He's probably not going to answer it.
I don't have it on my phone. Sorry.
We don't have Bruce. Can we love him that much? We don't have his number. None of us.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
That would have been really cool to phone him, but we'll have to do it in another interview.
Oh, that would be great. Imagine live, just put him on the spot.
You get, obviously, Diggs Connect's about putting not bums in seats, but bums in beds.
There we go.
And
that's exactly what we metric.
You put bums in beds, and you give them a great space. A phenomenal space where they can actually take their learning forward. A place that is conducive to that, right? So that's cool. But starting it... It's
just coughed into the mic.
Don't worry about it. It's okay.
It's definitely COVID. Just FYI.
Yeah, 100%. Great. Thank you for that. You haven't given me anything in the last 3 years, and now you've given me COVID. I really appreciate that.
That's my welcome back, Chris. Good to see you again.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the journey, right? So, it's one thing to get caught up in the hype. It's one thing to get caught up in we're in London, we're in here, we're in there, and we're growing. We've got a great seed round, the highest for a female, and that's phenomenal work done by you. And no one ever tells the pre-success story. No one ever talks about the gaffer tape that you have to put in the business. It's not even a question of, do I need an app? It's like, I can't afford a bloody app. Yeah. So what do I do to just validate this, right? So tell us that story.
Oh my gosh! I mean, there's so many things you just got my mind kind of running there, which I had a pen and paper notes on. But your first thing about the housing thing, I think that home is one of those things you don't realize how important it is unless you lose it. And I realized that when on my travels, like I am almost homeless at the moment, when I'm traveling, and it is so disorientating. Yes, it is so disorientating, and home is more than just the place you sleep. It's your sense of safety and security, and especially in a place like South Africa, where there is such issues with our safety. I mean, we do really extensive safety and security checks on our landlords for exactly this reason. And it's how can you even pretend a student can go out there and study and achieve their best? And there's a lot of stress at university if they haven't got a stable, safe, beautiful home where they feel like it's their base. So it's so huge. And we realize this more and more and our investors and partners have been pushing for us to go into young adult housing and just housing in general, because no one solved this really on a global level. Like, I would never go head to head with Uber, Bolt. When it comes to getting taxi, they're amazing. You know, when it comes to ordering food, they got it waxed. But in terms of leasing, and of the 8 billion people, everyone is leasing at some point in their life. You know, no one has solved this really well. And it's crazy that this huge issue, housing, is still pretty shit, you know?
Student housing in particular.
It's so not good. Yeah. I'm trying to avoid the profanity there. It's so not good.
We're not allowed to say shit on
none of that. None of that. I definitely can't say fuck.
No, none of that. Not a fuck. You can't say that.
None of that. But it's crazy to understand that. And I think what I found so exciting is that when I think about the most extraordinary companies and companies that I love, you know, products that really just like spark joy in your life. So like Spotify, I'm an absolute addict to Spotify. I spend half my, I was playing some of my favorite tunes earlier. I'm an absolute addict to Spotify. And you think, oh, this is a startup. They've been going for like 13, 14 years. Yeah. And they do one thing, you stream music and podcasts.
100%.
And I just love that, because I feel like we are just getting started now. Like the progress we've made, we got a conversion rate up when we started from like 0.000 maybe 1%. Yeah. And now we're on 20%.
Wow.
And it's like this kind of progress and our growth and the way that our CAC is going down and the way that like we really are figuring out just as one simple thing, how do you help someone who wants to live in a room or a house, live in a room, who wants to live in a house with other human beings, how do you just get that right and make it seamless and perfect? And it is such an exciting mission to work on, because like housing is cool. And also I'm definitely not smart enough for AI. I realize that's, you know, if we get to start about AI, just there's a big cross through that one for me, you know.
We'll do that later.
That's it. I mean, I don't know. I'm getting thicker every year, unfortunately. So I'm losing brain cells as we go. But housing is just, it makes sense. It's where you live, you know. Correct. And I can wrap my head around that, and I can feel it, the intuition of it in my soul, and I can be like, I can fix this.
I heard someone just say, Mom, she just said CAC. It's cost of acquisition. I mean, cost of customer acquisition.
Yeah, customer acquisition cost.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, well, the other day I learned about a new term, EBITDA.
Earnings before interest or
tax.
And amortization.
I mean, that's a big word. There's too many syllables there.
Amortization. EBITDA.
Yes,
which is, I mean, there's a shorter word for it. It's called operational profit.
Oh, yeah, well, exactly. So our CFO was saying it in meetings, and I was nodding like, absolutely.
EBITDA.
And then I texted Greg, and I was like, what's going on?
That's a new girl that you're hiring.
Yeah, literally.
I was like, EBITDA?
Is this good or bad? What number is better here?
Have you not heard of EBITDA, the club? I mean, the island.
Like, you're also there this summer.
That's where all the accountants go to rave. They all go to EBITDA.
I wouldn't be surprised with how much they're charging us. The lawyers, you sort of text and you're like, hi. They're like, that's £1,000. That's £1,000 right there. You're like, oh my God. So I wouldn't be surprised. But you asked about the getting there.
The getting there, the gaffer tape, the sort of. I mean, you've got a great idea. You know there's a challenge, but you want to validate it, right? And you don't have a lot of money in your pockets. You don't have your seed round in yet. You need to make this thing work. So a lot of people go to spreadsheets and all sorts of other stuff.
No, none of that. All you got to do, basically the core of business really, and this is like an MBA, whatever it is, just provide value in the world, man. Yeah. Like, that's it. Like,
spot on.
Like, earning money is tough.
Yes, it is.
And unless you're Warren Buffett, now you're just chilling on those interests, you know. You got your feet up. He's eating his Big Macs. You know how he has his Big Macs.
Yeah, he loves his Big Macs. So does Raymond Ackerman, by the way.
I mean, look, they're both very successful. So there's something in this Big Macs.
Maybe we should start eating Big Macs.
I think so. You know,
secret to success.
Justified. I think we need to get Adrian Gore to endorse us on Discovery Health. For every Big Mac, you get a point. So, you know.
Challenge with that.
There we go. Yeah.
They'll be paying out a lot of money for coronary challenges a bit later.
There we go. What do you say to that, Adrian?
Do you know?
Balls in your court. You know, this is a very random story. I was sitting in a train the other day on my way to a student housing sailing event. Let me tell you, I love Europe. Instead of having conferences, they go skiing and sailing. And you sort of talk for an hour, then you sail the rest of the time. And I'm sitting on a train, and I sort of answer the phone. The guy's like, South African accent, British guy. And I say, yeah. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I grew up in Zim, and he's like, what's your business? And he goes, oh, well, one of my really good friends actually is Adrian Gore. And I was like, are you? So instantly I go into like pitching mode. I'm like, well, our returns have looked amazing over the last 2 years.
And have you heard about how he beat her?
Yeah, literally. Let me tell you about a little thing I like to call CAC. So I pull open the pitch deck, and he's like, mate, I just want to get to, you know, my time. Like, too late, you're stuck. It's an hour-long trip.
I love
and this is our marketing from last year.
Oh, Lord.
So, look, I'm sure he's heard of me.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But let's get back to, we're both ADHD, right? So let's get back to the gaffer tape. Let's get back to getting it started.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got great ideas, but the one thing that sets the successful people apart from those with great ideas are the ones who start and the ones who actually continue. Exactly.
It's
exactly
continuation. Because like
True
starting
story.
is still. Okay, starting is tough, but it's still exciting. You are full of hope. You're like, I'm going to make it. It's going to be amazing. I'm Mark Zuckerberg. I'm going to retire. No. I'm incredible. And then you sort of 6 months and you're like, geez, this is taking a while. Then a year in, you're like, God, I mean, I've cut my salary. I look like shit. Everything's falling apart. And that's when you stop. And Steve Jobs has a thing where he says, like, you're going to get punched in the face, you know, keep going. Or Winston Churchill, success is going from failure to failure without losing a sense of humor. Or Hunter S. Thompson, you know, buy the ticket, take the ride. You know, there's so many great people. I love that phrase.
I love it
no
too.
sympathy for the devil.
Yeah.
You know, and if the journey gets a bit heavier sometimes than you anticipated, chalk it up to forced consciousness expansion. And it's exactly that. It's continuing. When it gets boring, when it gets slow, when it gets tough, you know, the longer you stick at something and the longer you just keep. Obviously, you know, if something's not working, don't stick at that. Like, iterate. Try something else. Change around. But come back to the point of earning money is hard. And the things you pay for in your life, think about yourself. Is it a grudge purchase or do you love it? So like, I love food. I wish I loved exercise. I'm not one of those people. I love food, man. I love it. And when I go and I spend a fortune on like a Lindt chocolate, I do it with absolute joy and pleasure in my heart.
Indeed.
And that's value for me. You know, I know how hard I have to work to make money. And how many hours of my life I'm trading up for that Lindt chocolate. I would do it any day of the week. And then as opposed to paying tax where you're like, oh, grudge spend, you know?
Exactly right.
Because you feel like you're not getting value for your money in South Africa. Whereas perhaps if you lived in Scandinavia, you feel like it's not a grudge spend because you're getting free university, free, you know, X, Y, Z.
Correct.
So it comes back to that for business. Like, what do people struggle with and would pay for a solution for? And that's basically, and come back to it the whole time, being like, am I solving a problem? Am I solving a problem? How much do you pay for this? It's not product market fit, it's product market pricing fit. Correct. Everyone wants a good deal also. Yeah. So I think we started with that, but we made all the classic mistakes, you know, like you build a product before you actually understand what your product needs to do. You know, you just hack it together. Like one of my favorite stories, there's a company, I think they're called Delivery something, Hero, I don't know, they're in the Valley. And their product was a PDF hosted on a website. With the options of what you could order online, and then literally the founders would like run around delivering things and figuring it out, and then from there they're like, okay, we realize that people want X, Y, and Z, let's build a product now, because developers are expensive, products are expensive, they take maintenance, you're going to have hack attempts, people are going to go after you. We had some guy in our peak season, it was so malicious, like our busiest season, I don't know if it was I don't think it was like anything personal. I think it's just you get these guys staying in their basements being pricks. Yeah. And this guy or girl, I don't know, or team, were creating bugs and just hitting our sign up servers, like our sign up feature. Again, just spawning millions of accounts, you know, to crash our servers. And of course, we had a thing where every time you sign up, we send an OTP to verify your number. Jeez. Tens of thousands of rands saying these SMSs. Luckily, our SMS partner caught it also. And then you have our team work through the night to come patch this. And
was that Clickatel?
Clickatel does WhatsApps. This was SMS Portal.
Oh, is it SMS Portal? Yeah. You know, they started with SMSs, eh?
Yeah. So we do Clickatel also for our WhatsApp work. Yeah, we use SendGrid, Clickatel, all the usual guys. But that kind of stuff, you know. So I think that everything you do is going to add more complexity to your life. And I think if you haven't quite figured out the basic nuances of your business, you're just going to waste time doing these other things. I think that's another thing. Don't waste time on like rubbish, you know, just understand what your users need, what is adding value, and just
how do you do that though? Because a lot of people love sitting in boardrooms doing desktop research.
None of that.
You got to get your freaking hands dirty.
You got to get your hands dirty. You got to hit the pavement. You got to like be out there talking to people. So, for example, I think the reason why Digs Connect, why, you know, I will say that also, like, when you give advice to people, what is your unfair advantage? What do you know that people don't know about the sector? Yeah. And for myself, I had two sides. One, I was a student myself. So I was the customer. My friends were the customers. We knew how much it sucked finding a place to stay. It was really bad. Yeah. And I knew our budgets, you know. On the other hand, I was also on the SRC. And so I knew that landlords needed it. And then a year after this, I actually got an apartment when I started with Digs Connect, and I then became a landlord. And I saw all sides of this. And I know that, you know, if you're a landlord and you got a mortgage, which most people have, that mortgage is going off every month, whether you like it or not. And with inflation or it is, like, you got to get the tenants in there, you know, or you out of bank. And South Africans don't have a lot of extra income. Yep. So if you aren't paying that mortgage, you're in trouble most of the time.
Yes.
And if you're a big PBSA, which is purpose-built student accommodation, see there I am with the terminology
I'm
again,
impressed with all of
expert in
this,
my field,
Very
then you don't have vacancies, because
Yeah.
if you're a public trade entity, that's the value of your business. And if you're writing down the valuation of your business, then you got trouble. Most people actually won't even write down. They'll just say, let's just keep the vacancies. So vacancies are really bad.
Yeah.
On the other hand, being homeless is really bad. So it's like an obvious connection. Just getting
Makes
it
sense.
right is tricky now, because there's a million complexities around this. That's why no one's really got it right yet. And I also think why so many prop techs also liquidated during COVID, because it's tough and it's long-term cycles. It's not like a lot of startups, you're getting feedback like every single day, you can iterate. People are signing it at least for a year. So you're learning year on year, which is quite slow to get it right.
Are you getting it right? How far are you from getting it absolutely right?
Do you ever get it
No,
absolutely
you
right?
don't. That's a trick question. Because you're always iterating. And things change. It's a bloody moving target.
Yeah, always. Because the world changes. I mean, AI is going to change everything. It is changing everything already.
The interest rates.
The interest rates are changing everything. How's this? The other day, so we work a lot with Nigerian students going into studying in the UK.
Yeah.
Literally the day we signed a partnership. And this was a real kind of this was a real kick to the nuts.
Yeah.
The day we signed a partnership with an amazing education agency in Nigeria to help place their students there at housing, the UK government changed the visa laws, saying that Nigerians can't bring, or student immigrants going in can't bring dependents. And so your biggest student immigrants are your Chinese, your Indians, and your Nigerians going to stay in the UK, because we are South African and we understand the continent better than I think people coming from other countries.
Yeah.
And they changed the law just like that. And so now if you have this whole plan to take, your plan for the last 2 years has been this, and suddenly it changes overnight, you're going to think, whoa, should I look at Canada? Should I look at Australia? Should I look somewhere else for my education? And so you have to just be quite nimble and be aware of things changing. I mean, BlackBerry is a classic example of dropping the ball. Classic example of dropping the ball.
And we all were BlackBerry. I mean, I was a BlackBerry. We're all BBMs.
That was my high school career.
I remember seeing old what's his name? Skalkberger, the rugby player.
Yeah.
John Smith. We were all BlackBerry ambassadors. It was like the big thing. And then all of a sudden, gone.
Yeah, look, I think failure to innovate. I have this thing I love saying. We have, hopefully in about a month's time, we're making a very big announcement.
Oh, cool.
With an incredible company. I don't want to give away
You
too
can
much
tell us
now.
about it if you like.
But I was chatting to one of the main investors, who is one of the most extraordinary human beings I've ever met in my entire life. And he's built some incredible companies. And I think that when you business for a very, very long time, you build some big things. I think one of the biggest risks you face is complacency.
Yes.
And we're speaking about it, about like how companies' growth rates sometimes slow down, but other companies sometimes speed up. And I'm a huge fan of Jeff Bezos. I know it's contagious. I'm a capitalist. Okay, shoot me.
There's also a TV anchor who is a big fan of his. Yeah.
But Jeff Bezos writes his letter every year, letter to shareholders, and I always read them because, whether you like him or not, he's an extraordinary CEO.
Yes.
That is undeniable. I think that...
But he does look like a Catholic nun when compared to Elon Musk.
I'm a huge Musk fan too, so I'm afraid you're going to get... I've got a copy of Atlas Shrugged next to my bed that I refer to moments of, emotional distress.
Okay, so if you're a big Musk fan, you're probably not going to talk about Bill Gates. So, yeah.
But go back to Jeff Bezos thing.
Yeah.
So he has this thing he always says, which I literally want to get tattooed on my eyelids. And he says, every day is day one.
Yes.
And I love that. And I say every day is day one. Like, it's just... And... during COVID, when things were really hectic, during the early days when I was just like so stressed, I started resenting my work. I was like, I'm exhausted. I'm sick of this. I'm over it. I just feel like I'm not an anxious person. I'm as chill as can be.
Yeah.
But the anxiety of just trying to survive the whole time. And I started resenting the work. But, then I kind of flipped it on its head and I realized that like, this might sound a bit morbid, but I love to ground myself in our mortality. And I was like, either way. 100 years from now, I'm fucking dead,
For sure.
A couple hundred years, everyone who knows me is going to be dead. So it doesn't actually matter. So I was like, why not do something extraordinary? And I think your life is an opportunity to show your ability and talent made manifest to do something extraordinary for humanity, to contribute to our progress as a species. And like when I started realizing that like the work is the gift, the opportunity to do something extraordinary is the gift.
Yes.
Straight away flipped it around. Like, the other thing it did do is it made me realize I need to have balance. I don't work on weekends anymore.
Good.
Take my evenings off to go. I say exercise, but actually it's walking to the coffee shop to buy a croissant.
Walking is this is the thing with exercise. I mean, I got 2 screwed knees, so I couldn't run if I tried. But walking has really helped.
Yeah.
That and a couple of audiobooks because I got ADHD. I can't get through a normal book.
Audible is
flippin' amazing.
My gosh, we must share Audible links after. I'm obsessed. Are you on Goodreads?
No, I'm not on Goodreads.
You got to get Goodreads. So Goodreads is my favorite social media.
Coming up.
Because you can then share recommendations with friends on different books. You can track your progress. So amazing. I track all my friends and we kind of like recommend books to each other and Audible books. And you got lists of startup essentials that I've started. It's my favorite social media.
Okay, I'm gonna
it's
check
like
it
completely non-toxic, you know? So
which is still why I wonder why I'm on Twitter, hey, to be honest with you. I got off Twitter initially by default because Elon and team decided that third-party apps, not all of them can be, people can't use that to access, and then I forgot my freaking password. And then eventually Business Island said to me, hey, you got to tweet. I'm like, I got to find my... And then I got back on, but I just realized how toxic certain spaces can be, though.
So what I've done to work, 'cause I really think social media can be an exceptionally powerful tool, but I think you have to work it to your advantage. So I've got 2 rules I do. One is I curate what I follow.
Sure.
As soon as I see negativity, I just unfollow, completely unfollow and block. And as soon as someone is, I love debate and I don't mind robust disagreements about my ideas, but as soon as the attack becomes ad hominem or personal, block.
Absolutely.
Done. So I think that you know, like Michelle Obama says, when they go low, we go lower. No, I'm joking. When they go low,
low. Yeah.
We go high. And I think it's exactly that I loved, I've been debating my whole life. I coached debating when I was in university. But when things get ugly, you just like, there's no point. You know, you can't argue on that level. So I think block negativity, just step away from that and then engage with logical, reasonable, kind human beings. And there are, I mean, if people like you and I are on there, there are good people on there.
Of course.
There are interesting, kind, intelligent, curious people you can learn so much from.
It's like that in life, right?
Exactly.
If you surround yourself with the right people, then you create the right environment to flourish.
They can, last night I was having dinner with some friends of mine and the one I hadn't seen in a while and I was really taken aback by their attitude towards life, very negative. And I sort of, said, who are you spending time with is making you feel so
They're listening to talk radio and listening to news bulletins every half an hour.
I was like, you are one of the most talented people I know. If you worry about the future, then be part of the solution.
100%.
Get to work, just make things happen. That's exciting. But if in your mind you've already given up, then it's over, You know
what's so cool about that? We talk about South Africa backing South Africa. We're not foolhardy. We understand what's happening. But what are you going to do? You're going to moan about it or you can try and change it? Right, exactly.
That's why I joined NYDA. And
there were a couple of tech businesses I met over the last couple of weeks wanting to get into Europe, etc., etc. And I asked them about why they want to do it. And they said, no, we want to live in South Africa.
Yeah, always.
We love this country. Our lifestyle's great. We'd just like to bring some euros. That'd be really cool.
Let me tell you, the money in Europe and the UK and America blew my little South African mind. Okay, I'm from PE. And also, living here is extraordinary.
Yeah.
But it's a small market. And I think it can definitely grow. There's a lot of opportunity.
Indeed.
And we must never give up an opportunity here across Africa, especially in Africa, the growing population.
Yes.
But for now, I mean, if you want to be a unicorn, you need to go global. You absolutely need to service a global audience.
I go as far as saying, listen, even your POCs, don't even do them in South Africa. If you rely on corporates and big institutions to do POCs, forget about it.
Yeah.
If you have networks and people in Europe, it's easier to get the shit done.
Absolutely.
Because everybody takes time. People are still too scared to take risk.
Yeah.
Although corporates are changing. I mean, we've got a couple of them at Innovation City. We've got probably 4 of the top 10 JSE listed companies in the building. That would never have happened. Yeah, would never have happened pre-COVID.
Do some introductions. I'm looking for a husband.
There we go. Let's see. Who can we get you this old burra?
I need bank statements though. Nothing short of a Billy.
I know. No. These guys all have Billies, and we're not even talking Zim Billies.
Yes, like it.
But we got to wrap. I just think you've built a phenomenal business.
Thank you.
I just think, and the reason I do these interviews is not just to talk to really cool people, but it's to leave a couple of key lessons in life.
Yeah.
And you're going to listen to it, you're going to take it on board, you're not necessarily going to internalize it, but when you go on your own journey, it's these type of conversations that people go back to, and they go, the bit where you go, I felt like just giving up on everything. It's freaking frustrating. I felt like putting my head through the wall.
I'm going to become a housewife.
Exactly. I mean, then that's it. Yeah, anyway, I was going to say something, but I won't. I just think if we can create create content that serves as some type of internal compass for people who are lost in the darkest times, and you're going to find the darkest times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then it shines a little bit of a light. And you're one of those people, man. I mean, I think it's just so cool. I am impressed with what you've done. I remember us doing a pitch with you last year and going, shit, man, this is the best pitch I've ever heard. This is someone who actually tells a damn story.
I remember that pitch.
Yeah, that was so cool. You spoke very quickly, and we were like,
geez Louise.
No, but that's good. It was great. You know, we got through it.
You must listen faster. Come on, we got things to do. Chop, chop.
Do you not hear of ADHD? I'm still trying to figure out what the first word was. Not kidding. It's like, why weren't you into word number 2? I'm like, what a great bird. And I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about the bird flying past the window.
I'll take the compliment. At this age, I'm going to take what I can get.
But Alexandra, thank you. And let's talk about some of the key. If we had to, I mean, we've spoken about a lot of things. Some things eventually will make sense once you listen to it over and over. We have ADHD, right? So what were some of the key take-homes that we can potentially leave with specifically people who have great, well, there are different types of people. There are people who have great ideas and they want to start, but there are, I think, very importantly, people on the journey at the moment, right? Yeah. And they still don't know what's ahead of them. Just a couple of key take-homes that you might...
I think the first thing I have to say is everything starts with your state of mind.
Yeah.
Everything starts with that. Like, I think that, like, look after that first and be very clear on I think first believing the future is good and the future is exciting,
right,
and humanity is progressing, and understanding that the future is nothing short of what we build it to be.
Spot on.
And if you are someone who is capable of just accessing this, shows you got access to the internet and you can listen to this, you are completely empowered to be a part of that solution. You don't like climate change, you're empowered to change it. You don't like this weird swing to the right on the political spectrum, you're completely empowered to change it. If you don't like anything, there's a lot of solutions in South Africa, you're completely empowered to change it. And I think a lot of people stop because of a bunch of ideas or a bunch of mental blockers, and one is, it's embarrassing. We should all be cringe maximizing. More cringe means you're doing better work. Like,
I love it.
Cringe maximize. You are part of the future. The future depends on your ability to get out there and do it, and stay true to yourself. Oh my God, people would try and sway you. If your authenticity is the most beautiful thing.
I love that. And that's where we're going to leave it.
Namaste to that.
I guess a couple of phone calls. You're not going to be single by the end of this episode.
We need to add some pics here. Another pic from earlier where I have about 12 chins. Let's do the one.
Listen, my 13 still beat yours. So
more chins, more life.
Oh, gosh. This is Alexandria Procter, kick-ass business person and inspirator extraordinaire.
Oh, thank you.
You must have a freaking amazing time. Woo! And I can't wait for you to hit the $1 billion mark, and we'll do a couple of interviews before then.
I'll launch the super yacht off Cape Town Harbour, right?
And that is, I was going to say breakfast, because that's a show that I used to host. The good old days when radio still made sense. But this is lunch with Kieno. And it's not going to work. Hold on. There. I was supposed to. Let me try it again. Hold on. And we're not going to edit because this is live. That was lunch with Kieno. Cheers, Alex.
Woo!
Woo-hoo!
Bye.
Cheers. Have a good one. Don't tell your mother you were listening to this. Have a lovely week. Bye-bye.